Injuries and health complications are every athlete's worst nightmare, but mixed with martial arts, it becomes even more concerning. Serious risk to an MMA's health can cost them their career. What's more, the road to recovery is never linear, and you never know how long before you're back in the ring. In light of that, today's video is about Anthony Smith, opening up about some of the health complications he's facing after his leg surgery. First up, Anthony Smith comes forward with health issues following a leg surgery. In July, Smith sustained a critical injury to his left leg in a fight against Russian mixed martial artist Magomed Ankalaev, and it turns out that Smith had ended up with a broken leg and required immediate surgery. The thing is, the actual surgery itself went incredibly smooth. The whole process was a success, but it looks like it's not exactly been a smooth ride after the operation. We managed to get a sneak of a UFC 280 preview on the fighter versus the writer, and it included Smith opening up about his health complications he's faced after his leg surgery. It hasn't been easy for this 34-year-old mixed martial artist, and according to him, he has to face a couple more obstacles on his journey to complete the recovery. Sadly, this means that we won't be seeing him return to the ring anytime soon. You must be wondering, what are some of these very serious health issues? Well, that's what we're going to dive into now. Not to mention the allergic reaction Smith had to deal with before UFC Paris. We know bone fractures take a long time to heal completely, but Smith had faced no issues in that department. The 34-year-old revealed that his ankle and leg are better now, so much so he didn't have to depend on his crutches anymore, and he had stopped using them. What's more, the martial artist had even joined physical therapy, and it looks like things were heading in the right direction for Smith, but that was before he went to Paris for the UFC Paris event. According to Smith, he had been taking some of his prescribed medications. Smith ended up experiencing a very severe allergic reaction to those medicines. He felt his airway closing up, and he couldn't even swallow anything. But before things could get any more critical, he was taken to the hospital. So far, everything seemed okay despite the little jump scare due to the meds, but then he returned from Paris and went for a checkup. Smith was still thinking that there wasn't anything wrong, but then he got diagnosed with a blood clot in his leg. Coming up, what happened after the 34-year-old left Paris? From what Smith revealed in the UFC 280 preview, when he returned home from Paris, he started experiencing pain in his leg. Initially, the martial artist was dismissive about the pain because it wasn't located where he'd broken his leg, but Smith's wife grew worried, and since she's a nurse, she feared Smith might have a clot in his leg. She said the same thing to Smith, but he refused to accept. Well, are you surprised? It seems pretty human to start with denial whenever you hear something like that. Anyway, Smith was taken to the hospital again, and after some thorough testing, it turns out his wife had been right. He did have a clot in his leg, but surprisingly, the doctors told him he was good to go home. Smith took the doctor's advice a bit too seriously. He headed home, and right after, he thought he might as well go to Wyoming. He was almost on his way when the doctor called him and told Smith that he had to return to the hospital immediately. Once the 34-year-old was back at the hospital, he was given anticoagulants, which helped dissolve the clot. What's more, he received 2 injections to his stomach daily. Right now, Smith's got no idea how long it'll take for them to completely get rid of the clot. The doctors have advised him not to engage in physical activity for an unspecified amount of time. Next up, why the discovery of a clot in his leg was a big deal. We already know how much Anthony Smith has endured this year. At this point, it's best if he exercises as much caution as possible. If you know even a tiny bit of medicine, you know clots are never good news. And in Smith's case, seeing how he's already undergone a pretty serious operation, it's even more vital to treat this as quickly as possible. If clots aren't taken care of, they can dislodge themselves from the blood vessels they were formed inside and then end up traveling to different parts of your body. It can be incredibly life-threatening if the clot reaches the blood vessels in your lungs and blocks them, or if it enters the heart. In both of these scenarios, it can turn into a very serious problem, and that's why it's crucial to dissolve the clot in Smith's leg. From what we've heard, the doctors are routinely monitoring his situation. As far as we know, he's in great hands. In the end, this is how Smith's trying to hold on to a positive outlook. We can't even begin to imagine all that Smith has gone through this year. Despite all of it, he's managed to hold on to hope, and when he had his leg broken in July, he had hoped he would be able to return to his one true passion, that is UFC, soon enough. We're talking about a return to the ring a month or two later, but with his blood clot in the picture, Smith accepted that he needs to put his health first. Can't expect to be a great martial artist by jeopardizing his health. Right now, Smith knows he has to give up on his plans to join the ring again in January. He's focused on getting this blood clot treated. For now, there's no timeline for recovery, but despite all the troubles, he's still optimistic, and let's hope we get to see him fighting again soon. First off, Jeff Neal and Shavkat Rakhmonov to face each other at the first 2023 UFC event. Well, we've received confirmation of who will be up against whom on January 14th, the first UFC fight night of the year. And here's the tea. We'll see Jeff Neal and Shavkat Rakhmonov face off in the ring for a night we've all been looking forward to. Right now, the Kazakh mixed martial artist Rakhmonov is MMA's extremely promising fighter, with how he's already in the top 10 for MMA's global rankings. Then we've got the 32-year-old Neil, who just had an astounding victory at UFC Vegas 59. So we've got two very experienced fighters for the first match, and we cannot wait to see which one will emerge as the winner of the ring on the night of January 14th. Save the date to your calendars because it'll be a night to remember. Up next, Bo Nickal gets back at critics. We're not surprised to know that experts are predicting a UFC championship for Bo Nickal, the 26-year-old legendary mixed martial artist who's already claimed 3 NCAA wrestling championships. Perhaps it's out of jealousy, but we've been seeing a lot of UFC veterans name-dropping Bo Nickal, and they've been extremely critical of him for no apparent reason. Chris Curtis even went as far as saying there was nothing truly impressive about Bo, but that's not even slightly as shocking as Darren Till saying he would like to fight with Bo one day only so he can drive the left hand through his skull. But Bo's taking all of this in good humor. The 26-year-old's calling it hilarious and feels like it's childish for veterans to call him out like this. He even went ahead to claim that he'll be the one to decide if he wants to fight all these UFC martial artists. Well, he sure got a big mouth. Let's see how this will turn out for Bo and the veterans. Finally, UFC's much-awaited return to Australia in 2023. Looks like we've got to prepare ourselves for the latest bit of exciting news from the UFC. In a surprising turn of events, they're planning to return to Perth, Australia in the early months of 2023. We've heard that they'll make the news official this week, so keep your eyes on the headlines to receive official confirmation from UFC itself. Right now, all we know is that UFC 284 will be held at the RAC Arena in Perth, and the date you should be looking out for is February 11th. The last UFC event held in Australia was UFC 243, which happened in October of 2019. God, has it been this long? We're expecting to hear the official announcement on Tuesday next week. You must be wondering if any fights have been confirmed, but sadly the answer is no. Not to worry though, because we're sure they'll release those details soon enough. And that's a wrap for this video. Are you hopeful that Anthony may recover from these health issues? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.